Hello and welcome into the Sorare Data Show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Today is Friday. We've done 5 shows this week, I think. I don't know. It's all a blur at this point. Yeah, simple as that. Thanks everyone for coming in. Malky, Bob Franklin back on the podium. Way to be. And Tom Brimson joining them on the podium. Congratulations, you three. Tom said picking Turkey in rivals and winning after is probably warranted. Disrespect yesterday makes me happy. I also was watching the Deadline stream with Quinny and Harry today. Must watch for anyone if you have the time on Friday. And apparently he was like a late addition to predicted lineups for this weekend. I can't remember if I ended up playing him or not. I don't know. Kev Heard, what's up? 93 acres, 10,000 steps should keep us all happy. Certainly keeps us healthier. And that usually leads to happiness. John Andrews, what's up? Peptetta, Shezzy, hoping for a game week can make me happy. Yeah. Rikamon said the no intro scared me. Was there no intro? I was like watching it. That's weird. Major NFT, what's up? Sorare Soul, I can still be happy because I got my second ever win this game week. Happy Friday. Way to be. Love that, Sorare Soul. Congratulations. Scosmo, what's up? Kev Heard, it's Friday, 5 p.m. and Laird is here. Where the hell is Mike Baston? I agree. Scozer, what's up? It's a good point. Where the hell is Mike? Can we even start? At least Bob's here. Bob's on the podium, and Mike should be here. Probably in his garden or something. Should we just wait in silence until Mike shows up? How about that? I'm just kidding. Anyway, Major NFT snuck into the rewards on the last game. Was that Frontale? I know there were some J-League games today. Rikamon said, oh, I think mine just refreshed and skipped it. Yeah, there was a preview. There was a video, hopefully. Cosmo said, I'm not wearing trousers on Mike's behalf, this is all what the community is about. Sticking up for one another. Mike invited me to a Rivals squad today. I still haven't accepted. I did play Rivals last night, though. Got one of those bailout sub goals that you can sub in. Love that rule. Anyway, yeah. Thanks, everyone, for coming. We got really nothing to talk about. There's always something to talk about, but there was nothing particularly pressing today in my mind. Mostly because I feel like we covered everything this week. That's all. Simo, what's up? Thanks for coming in. Rikamon said, wait, people wear trousers to watch this? I think they wear them, and then as soon as the show starts, just rip them off like a 1990s NBA player. Anyway, so what is the title of this show? How can you still be happy? Oh, yeah. Speaking of happy, what's up, Quinny? I actually loaded up Quinny's video from yesterday, his stream, which I couldn't catch live. What was that one called, Quinny? What's Going On? Sorare versus the UKGC. And I don't live in the UK, but I assume that stuff is important. And so I was going to watch it. And then I was like, oh, wait, I have my own stream. So Quinny, I'm going to watch that after, although I've already watched you for 2 hours today. Not that you can get too much Quinny, but anyway, while we're all here, if you want to just take a quick second, go over to Quinny 3001, subscribe to that channel. Yeah, that's all. Anyway, how can you still be happy was a question that came up after yesterday's show, yesterday's Sorare Andrews. And not every day that like streams finish and we keep talking, whether it's Andy or whoever I have on the channel. But yesterday we were like chatting for a little bit. And that question came up because every so often we like communicate with people who just who just like they're not as happy as they used to be on Sorare. And it's understandable given that back when we could sell cards for tons of money, and I say that having just listened to the latest episode of Sorare Homies with Harry Trades, talking about how we sold a Vinny Souza super rare for 11,000 pounds. And given that you can't do that anymore, I'm not even sure how many super rares at all sell for 11,000 pounds. But the fact that you can't really do that anymore, can you really still be happy? And it was like, yeah, of course. And Andy and I both really still love Sorare. And while we don't think it's like a perfect game, we enjoy it. And so usually when you enjoy something, you're happy. And I do feel like there's kind of this thought by a few people recently that just kind of like, why are you still happy about this? With like card prices have gone down for years, prizes are so hard to win, essences or boxes are just level ups, and like, what else can we complain about? Bad tier 3 rewards. I complained about that publicly the other day. And I don't know, I still love this game. I have a really good time with it. And obviously I'm a little biased because it is my job, although there are plenty of people who don't like their job. And so maybe the bias doesn't even matter. But the the game is still really engaging to me. And I will say that Wednesday's show, was it Wednesday? As soon as I said Wednesday's show. Yeah, Wednesday's show with Keith was, I listened back to that show. I actually watched it back so that I could cut all the Bettis jokes up. But the conversation that we had and the subsequent response from the chat during the conversation made me realize that maybe I'm not playing Sorare as optimally as I can within the way that I want to play. And I think there are a lot of people who misunderstood what his Real Betis plan is, and to a lesser extent, like how he plays the game. And I'm not going to say that like Keith plays the game perfectly and that we should all play it that way, because I don't think it's possible, really. Not that it's not possible. Of course it's possible, but I don't think most people are going to put in the work that is required to do that. And it's work that like Keith really likes. And so one of the comments during the stream from Toby was kind of an aspect that I don't think a lot of people ever think about. And it's not so much, maybe it is part of the whole game theory part, but the advice for not even new people or just like people who are wanting to try a new strategy, but the advice of do what you like and follow the team, focus on the teams or the leagues that you follow the most or that you're the most interested in. And that'll be the best path for you. And I didn't always think that was right. And I'm not saying it's definitely right, but the one aspect that I never really gave any credit to in that recommendation is the more that you liked something, the more you're going to want to do it. And if you find kind of a strategy that you're like, oh, this strategy can work, but you don't like doing it, you're not going to spend as much time working on it and figuring out how to do it, because what you want to do in a game like Sorare is find something that you really like about it. And like that's why we do this. Obviously, winning money is a really nice part of this game, or at least the opportunity to win money. But it's supposed to be fun. Like, if we were just here to make money, like, enough people do stuff for money that's not fun, that Sorare is one of the things that you can do for money that is fun. And so focusing on what you find fun allows you to A, have that fun, and then B, become more of an expert in what you're doing. And I just never really, like, the point that I always took from like, oh yeah, just play the leagues that you know, is just like, well, you know them. So it's just like, oh yeah, just that's your knowledge base. Maybe you have a little edge over some people, but the whole ability to spend more effort in something or towards something that you love, I didn't really anticipate as being something I'd ever consider. And so then Toby kind of brought that up, and it was like, oh, that makes a ton of sense. Like, I don't really follow the K League or the J League, and I think that there is an edge to be had in those leagues, like a knowledge edge. And it's not enough for me to want to go into those, because it's very, like, for me personally, I don't speak Korean, I don't speak Japanese, And so I think that's already putting me way behind. And you can say like, oh yeah, just like subscribe to a Patreon or something like that. And like, while you could do that, yes, I don't think that's kind of the edge that you're really gaining from focusing on those leagues. And so if that part is a struggle, I'm just not going to want to do it as much. Whereas if I find leagues that I like or a community I like to be a part of, which I found in Denmark and the Sorare Scandinavia Discord, I enjoy that part, that communication and that community, and has made me really enjoy those leagues and those players. And so I'm more willing to put the effort in to focus on those leagues. And I don't know if focusing on the Danish Superliga is the optimal way to try to win Challenger, but I do know that with two players from the Danish league, I won Super Rare Division 2 Challenger last game week. So it's possible. And so I would have never done that had it not been for that community. Like I know there's kind of like this joke about me constantly bringing up this Sorare Scandinavia Discord, but personally, like it changed the way I play Sorare in a totally positive way. And that doesn't mean that like everybody needs to go do that, because just because I found it helpful and entertaining and whatever doesn't mean everybody will. And so if you're able to find that in whatever that you find interesting, I think it's great. Anyway, sorry. Let me catch up on the chat here. So completely unrelated to what I was saying. How much time have you spent looking into buying fancy trainers? I know what trainers are, but thank you for translating it to sneakers for me, so that you're motivated to keep stepping. 0. I just use the trainers I wear at the gym. Kaikom. I'm new coming to Sorare from the failure of Ultimate Champions. Have to say, I'm enjoying Sorare as a newbie so far. I'm glad you're enjoying it. That's great. And I'm sorry that Ultimate Champions didn't work out for you. Because it seemed like there were people who really liked that game, and I don't know. I never got involved, so it's tough for me to say much about it. Jakob, what's up? Just mic it. Good to see you. In my opinion, playing the competitions you watch for fun is the best way to play. In my case, La Liga and Premier League. Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. Alex said, this is so powerful. Well said. Again, I can't take credit. It's all this Man United Toby on Sorare. Kaikom said, I enjoy leagues players I know more about, but I find fun learning new leagues. Totally agree. Because, I mean, Sorare is packed with leagues that we would have never considered had it not been for Sorare. And we found players that we end up loving because of that. And that reminds me, if somebody can remind me later after I get through the chat, just remind me about Sorare being a collectible platform. I don't know. Well, I know exactly why that related. I'll bring it back up later. Anyway, Richard Krychek in the house. What's up? Ricky Lomas. I set a lineup today knowing it has a very little chance of winning, but it's the team I support, so it adds a little more fun to watching the game. Totally agree. So how's the Danish Duolingo streak going? Yeah. Danish is not high on the list of languages I have to learn. I also heard it's actually very difficult to learn from an English speaker. And given that I struggle learning any new languages, it's tough for me. It's tough. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Kaikom said exactly. I don't expect wins or to compete at the top, so submitting an underdog somewhere is much more fun for me. That's great. That's great. Hilo said mine was MLS, then they downgraded it. How did they downgrade MLS? Rickamon said finding new teams because of rewards is the best feeling. That is a great one. Yeah. Jury Biceps, who I bought a card from today. You think Sorare could be banned because it's gambling? I have no idea. I don't know. I'm not a UK legal expert. I'm not a legal expert anywhere, actually. So I don't know. Rikaman said, I'm on day 463 of Korean on Duolingo. I'm not on day 463 of anything. Yeah, just Mike had said, I, for the first time since I joined Sorare in 2021, can say I have a full Real Madrid stack. It's away to Atletico Madrid, but I'll enjoy that game more than ever. Fingers crossed we smash them 3-0. Let's go. Let's go. Good luck. Hilo said it's downgraded relatively to what it was. Champ Euro is the focus now. I still disagree, actually. I mean, MLS was never in like a great spot. It was in Champ America. I would argue that being able to win cards from the Eredivisie and Jupiler League and Danish Super League with MLS cards is better than what it was before. Kev said, Danish is a hard language. Thank you as tak. That's all I learned in a week there. Well, look at that. I just learned that in a second. Malky said, I think it's difficult to have a meaningful edge on Sorare nowadays. If you know the K-League, there are guys who know the Argentine League or Liga MX just as well as you know your competition. I think there's an argument that you could make that it's difficult to have like a knowledge. Actually, I still disagree with that. I think the knowledge edge is tremendous in a league like the K-League or the J League. And even Argentina, there are plenty of people who have no idea what's going on. It may not be one that you can like exploit all the time, but there are definitely edges. But I do think more now there are strategical edges. Basically, Wednesday's show when Gator Guy was explaining his plan for getting promoted throughout the La Liga competition with a Real, starting with a Real Betis defensive stack. Like the number of people who were ignoring the whole point of it or just didn't understand the whole point of it, I think gives him an edge. And I think it allows people to do similar things to other people in the game for a significantly lower price. And if you're able to do that, it actually gives you more, let's say two people have the same budget and they both can afford Barcelona stacks. And one of them gets the Barcelona stack and one goes Real Betis and then gets a few other cards or allows them and they climb their way up. And maybe by the time they get to D1, the Barcelona stack does have the better matchup, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's El Clasico and it's one of those situations. And it comes to that point where maybe one person feels more comfortable because they have the better players with their Barcelona stack. But I think the misunderstanding of Keith's strategy made it obvious that what he is doing is a strategic edge. And I say that having it not actually worked yet. It's working. And obviously it's like he just started it a couple days ago. A couple game weeks ago. So it'll take some time, but we're going to continue that conversation actually next week. Part of the conversation will be about the risk thing that he touched on that I think a lot of people didn't. That's actually the part that that made me think the most as I was listening back, that the way that all of us analyze risk is, I'm not saying it's wrong, but the way that he described it, I think is a way that not many people fully appreciate, that if you can accomplish the same thing two ways, would you rather do it with significantly more monetary risk? And we don't think of it that way. We think of it as like spending more means we're more likely to win, which I'm not saying is wrong, but I don't think we actually consider the downside risk. And the Rodri injury this week or the Ter Stegen injury really threw that to the forefront of, if you're going to go buy the best players and something happens to those best players, what do you do? And I don't think we analyze that risk enough. And that's not to say that you don't understand the risk. Like, you could understand the risk and say, I'm still going for it. And like, that's cool. Like, I get it. But for what Keith was trying to do with his Bettis stack was essentially just get to a point where he can compete for the best prizes. And if he could do that without taking on significant risk through the process, he was more comfortable doing that. And I was kind of like, that actually makes a lot of sense. Why are you increasing your risk at the lower reward thresholds? You should increase it when you can win a lot more. And I keep like, I can't get that episode out of my head. That's Wednesday's episode. I don't even remember what we called it. Let me look it up here. Playing Sorare How We Want. If you haven't listened to it or watched it, like I highly recommend it. And I highly recommend trying to listen to it without responding with basically how a lot of people in the chat did, because the way that it felt like people were understanding what the plan was he just was taking a kind of mid-level team and hoping that got him to the top based on matchups. And that's not really the point. The point was actually significantly, he has essentially put himself on a much shorter time frame of being able to recognize this success. And what a lot of people do is, like, the number of times I've seen people are like, oh yeah, I got this Brentford stack, and I think throughout the course of the season, I'll be able to get my money back. And I'm not saying you can't, but what I am saying is that wasn't Keith's point. That wasn't his plan. And I don't know if we did a poor job of explaining it, or if it was actually just very different to what it was very different while sounding similar. And so everyone was like, oh yeah, I've heard this plan before. Like, I'm doing it too, and it works, or it doesn't work. I don't know anybody who has publicly talked about doing a plan like his. And specifically what his plan was revolved around Bettis having a run of 6 to 8 game weeks where they had very favorable matchups. And when I say very favorable, I just assume it's more home and away, and that's it. But so the whole point was, can I get this team that I pay much less for than some players? Like, there are many players in La Liga, their single card cost more than the entire lineup that he made. And his idea is, can I take this lesser lineup with a team that has very favorable fixtures, or at least defensively good favorable fixtures, and then move in pieces throughout each game week to fit this team? Can I make that team get to Division 1, and then I can try to compete for the best prizes? Then I'll get my Real Madrid stack, or not even a Real Madrid stack, because he doesn't want to do that anyway. It's find the players that have the best matchup once I get to Division 1 and play those guys. And a lot of the feedback that we got was like, yeah, like I said before, oh, I'm doing that mid-level team and just like working my way up. It's going to take a while. And it's like, that's not the point. The point was a very short-term plan. And then at some point, once you get to the highest level that you can for the top rewards, that's when you utilize more of your capital and put it at risk so that you can win the biggest prize. And not to say you can't literally finish first place every single time, but the goal of all of this is to win Division 1. And part of winning Division 1 is getting out of Division 4, 3, and 2 and into Division 1, and lowering the risk, or doing it at a lower risk, until you get there. Malky said there should be a disclaimer that if it works in rare, it won't necessarily work in limited. I don't think that was totally clear. So he's doing it in limited too. And I think the idea is the same, and will always be this. Like, the scarcity does not matter. And you can make the argument like, oh, there's so many more lineups in limited, and so it's going to be harder, particularly in a contest in La Liga, where you're not having to face, if you have a stack, and I'm not saying a 5-player stack, Like he actually was making the point that his was a defensive stack. So he has like Ruiz Silva, the goalkeeper, and 2 defenders. And then you add in a midfielder and a forward that that also have a good matchup that game week. And so the idea that, or excuse me, the pushback that a lot of people were saying during that show about limiteds, and they were like, well, if you don't have like the collection bonus, like you'll never beat the other teams with collection bonus. And it was like, you can, because he's not running a 5-player stack. What he's doing is the collection bonus. And even if his Ruiz Silva and whoever his defenders were, Llorente and I forget who Bartra maybe, he may not have the highest XP on those cards. But if those guys all score well, and there will be other people with Betis collections who maybe get more points out of their players, his midfielder and his forward, which he picks game week to game week, will outscore whoever the midfielder and forward is from Betis. And I know all you Giovanni Lo Celso stands are going to come out and be like, don't disrespect Lo Celso like that. But even if it is Lo Celso, let's say Keith wasn't dumb and did buy Lo Celso right away, the forward will separate him. Like literally the one that he had was 3 players from Betis, Danny Rodriguez and Griezmann, I think was his first one. And it's like differentiating now that this is how he separates from the other, from like Betis stacks and like full Betis stacks. And so the collection bonus, not that it doesn't matter. Obviously, like you would prefer your cards to be as powerful as other people's cards, but your other cards, your non-Betis cards, at least what he feels, will be better scoring than the Betis ones. And so like that's the plan. And then at some point, this good run of like Betis won't have good fixture runs the entire season. So when they run out, he gets rid of those cards, or at least starts using different cards. But the idea is really, really not play Betis all season and see what happens. And that's what it felt like the chat was kind of thinking about. And that that's not the point. And B, it also, the risk part was also a major discussion that the chat, and Rigaman said earlier, the chat was so wrong. Like Keith's argument was not this team is better than a team of superstars. Like the conversation was that our good friend Tuggy brought up, like you should add Yamal. And it's like, yeah, of course, Yamal in this team makes it better. But bringing in Yamal to get out of Division 4 and to get into Division 3 is a complete high-risk maneuver that ends up delivering an outcome that you can deliver with significantly lower risk, meaning a cheaper card. And maybe when you get into Division 1, that's when you buy Yamal. And then, hey, now you have like one of the best players, if not the best player in the game on your team. But it just felt like there was just a lot misunderstood in the conversation because everybody had heard something similar and they were like, this is what I've heard before. And it really, really is not. And it's like, I can't stop thinking about it because it made me completely reevaluate how I was looking at my cards, like the lineups I made this game week. And now I'm looking ahead, and not to say that I never thought about matchups, because that's actually like, that's the biggest thing I think of all the time. And Harry and I talked about it on Tuesday. Yeah. That like when we make our lineups, like we look at the matchups that we have. And I think too many Sorare managers think that players are more important than matchups. And yes, you want the right players in the right match. You want the best players in the best matchups. But there are situations where people are making significantly suboptimal decisions because they're like, I have this player, I paid a lot for him, he's very good, even though he's away to whatever team that's like not in a great matchup. And you have someone else, maybe you want him, you've never heard of him, and he's got a great matchup. And you're like, I just can't play that guy. And like, you're just choosing to make your lineup worse. Limpy said, I finished second in Challenger Div 1 with 4 MLS players last weekend. No expensive PSV players needed. So why downgraded? Yeah. John said, it's refreshing to see different strategy like that rather than blasting money at something, getting Yamal and guys of that level. So John, I agree with you, but also that strategy doesn't rule out blasting money at Yamal. It's just the whole point was you don't need to do that early. And if you want to make the XP argument, like that's fine. That by the time you buy him in Division One, like his XP is lower, that kind of assumes that you're buying like a new card with no XP. Maybe you buy one off the secondary market. It is in season, but like his other cards were in season. So maybe you can use a classic Yamal that is already at level 18. Like who knows? Who knows? And so again, like this, the strategy isn't necessarily don't blast a bunch of money. It's just don't necessarily do it at the beginning because, or if you do, just understand that the risk is much higher compared to the reward, which is like, you know, a couple $100 maybe, and promotion. Ben said I'm a major 5-man stacker, and I've had to 4-man out of necessity for a few weeks now, and I've been doing really well. It's making me rethink my strategy. So Ben, do you 5-man stack because you think it's optimal or just because it's the easiest? Like that's something that Nanzo said in a live chat years ago. When we talked about stacking, he was like, because the argument for stacking, like 5-player stacking is, you know, they all play at the same time. You do your research, you know, they're all starting, like you've got a lineup. So from that respect, you don't have to research 5 different players if they're going to start. And I think his line was something like, do you want it to be easy or do you want to win? And not to say that like 5-man stacks can't win, but you do need like significantly unlikely outcomes, something like that. Because you need like a clean sheet and you need a couple goals and you have to make sure that your players are the ones who are on those decisives. And again, is there more a chance of a correlation between, like Harry was saying, like Rusnak and Jackson Reagan, because Rusnak takes a corner, Reagan gets a header, like I guess, but like that stuff doesn't really happen as much as people think it does. Like I think it was it Kane's last year at Spurs? There was a whole thing about like he had scored on Heung-min Son assist or vice versa, like so many times. And I don't think and everyone's like, see, look at all this great correlation. And it was like such an outlier for how often they combined on decisives. But people were like, see, it works. And just kind of ignored the reality that it actually doesn't work more than it works. Rikaman said there aren't many match-proof players, which is true. Matchup proof, excuse me. Polly Walnuts, what's up? Just got here. What are we complaining about today? I don't think we're complaining yet. Vitor said, I'm proud I was strong enough to not prioritize Rodrigo this game week. That's the Madrid derby this week, right? Kev Hurd said, so the strategy is to build up to higher divisions with Betis and build out his La Liga strength to win Division 1. So the strategy is like, not to say Betis has nothing to do with the strategy, but the point, Betis is not the point. The point was that he identified a team that had 6 to 8 favorable fixtures in a row, like coming up. And I'm not all of them, but like throughout them. I mean, I guess we could just look it up. And we actually talked about it a little bit. Like we brought it up on the show itself. But like he's already had Leganés, home against Leganés, home against Getafe, home against Mallorca, away to Las Palmas. They're home against Espanyol this weekend, at Legia, away to Legia Warsaw in the Conference League next midweek, which doesn't even count for La Liga anyway. Away to Sevilla, which is not ideal, but also Sevilla are pretty poor. We have the international break. Then they play Osasuna, and basically by then they're done. Like that was the run. So he's had 4 games so far, and now he has 1 more home game, 2 away games, and then I think he's done. And so So what did I say? So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 out of 5 home games. And we know that Gator Guy's like a big home guy. So he saw 4 out of 5 home games and said, can I get defensively, can I get enough clean sheets based, to bring this up? And he got one. He got one clean sheet. He also won cash this game week, like this midweek. That was the other thing that we didn't touch on. But this part of the season, like La Liga is really condensed. So we've been having like a bunch of like La Liga midweeks. And so that actually speeds up the process of promotion. So, sorry, I thought I had my screen share set up. So he picked up Alex, was it Baena this week to play with Rui Silva, Diego Llorente, Nathan, I don't know. There's Alex and then Griezmann. So this lineup won $60. And I believe he said on the show that all in the Betis guys cost $225. What you don't notice here is that, well, he's already in Division 2, but he finished 29th, which was not high enough for promotion. So he's not in Division 1 yet, even though he won cash. So now he's basically winning from these players, winning cash, getting his money back. He did mention that their values have gone up since he bought them. And now he has this weekend as well. I don't know. Who did he play this week? So that was the midweek. Let's see if we have his. And now this week he added in Ayoze Perez, which is kind of hilarious, in a Betis shirt, no less, just for the vibes. And let's see if this can get up there. Excuse me. Ben said, I make 5-man because it's the most exciting watching games. That's fine. Rikoman said, look at Nep, for example. He could have gone from Division 5 to Division 4 without spending 320 pounds on 3 players. So, like, he could have, yes. But I appreciate that Nep has the confidence that those lineups will just blast right through to Division 1. And obviously that's the point. And I think Nep would probably be in the situation to argue that the XP is really important for those cards. And so, that's what he has to do. But I really appreciated Gator Guy's kind of argument of you don't really need to take that financial risk at the lower level. And I'm not saying one way is better than the other, but like this is Nep's lineup. Now he won Verts and Grimaldo. So it's not even like if you are looking at that being like, this is what I'm going to do, it actually costs Nep significantly less to do this than other people. Although that's another $100. So this is like a 350, what did you say? 320 pounds, Rikoman said. That's on the Galashi, Olise, and Kane. So like Nep is obviously benefiting from having won Grimaldo and Verts, which like GG's on those, but like using all of those players, and what did he get back? $72. That's a weird amount. It's probably 75 or 70. Getting those players to move up, I'm just not sure is worth it. Does he have a collection with these guys? Oh, he just bought those too. Wow, that's surprising. What are we doing, Nep? You're going to lose because of the XP or collection bonus. Victor said the big upside of the stack is that you are just banking on one perfect match rather than you need 5 different matches to go your way. So you don't really need 5 different matches to go your way. You just need 5 players to go your way. But you're absolutely right. The problem is that banking on one perfect match, you're not really. You're banking on 5 players from that one match all hitting their upside. That's all. Ben said, and it's easier on the mind. I know after 90 minutes if the team has done well or not. I'm not stressing all weekend waiting to see if my last guys do well on Monday. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Kev said, the thing with stacking is I'm going to use those 5 players anyway. If they all smash, I win. If they don't, then one lineup is dead. If I split them, then I could kill multiple lineups. Or you could win 5 times. Malky said there's a chance someone like Yamal will be more expensive when he comes to sell the Bettis cards. That to me is also a risk. Malky, have you seen which direction cards like that go in? Like realistically, what would it take for Yamal's price to go like drastically higher? I say that, and it is going up. 1,800. Oh, that was the one of. It was $2,000. Like I think actually. So what's the first place prize for La Liga? I'm not in it, but I assume is it 2,500? Does that seem way too high now that I've said that out loud? 1,500 for La Liga Rare Division 1? Like, would you want to win $1,500 with a $5,000 lineup? Vitor said, yeah, but then Baina, is that how you say his name? Assists Ayozi twice in a match and you regret not playing them together. No, I think that part is fine. But he's also not relying on, who do they even play now for now? Villarreal? Yeah. Like you're not relying on a Villarreal clean sheet now. He also already had those players. And so Villarreal are away to Real Madrid next weekend. I would be shocked if, I'd be shocked if Keith held on to those cards. But then it's home against Getafe, away to Valladolid, and home against Vallecano, and then home against Alaves. Oh, so that's the next team. Wait a minute. Did I talk to him about this? I think I talked to him about this. Villarreal. That literally just came back to my mind. I was like, who has good matchups? Major NFT said, even a PSV stack is not immune. You need the other players besides Biscagli to play and do well. It's not always a given. And like a couple of weeks ago, Benitez left for paternal leave. And like there was somebody, QTN won a contest last week with a lineup very similar to Neps, actually, with like Galashi. It was Galashi, Grimaldo. Was it that lineup? That'd be pretty funny if it was something it was like really similar to that. For those of you who do not know, QTN has been, I don't follow them enough, but there are enough people that I follow that consider them to be one of the best limited players out there. So this was actually exactly Nep's lineup, except instead of Olise, it was Musiala. And this was in Bundesliga Division 2 limited, won $200, finished third. But it's like 2 from Leverkusen, 2 from Bayern, and a Salzburg goalkeeper. And like Leverkusen, did Herdeshki play this game? Yeah, 10 points. And I guess you can make you probably buying Neuer. Oh, and Neuer wasn't even there. Neuer got pulled. That's right. Neuer was hurt, and so Ulrich played that one. So any other combination of the goalkeeper and either of these two teams, and he doesn't come remotely close to winning or finishing third, excuse me. Malky said, I like the idea, but the whole thing is a little pointless as Keith could afford to replace injuries, etc. Just a guess, but if you have one Rodri, the chances you can afford to replace him. So I actually don't think that's the case. I think there are plenty of people who buy Rodri. And the other issue is that buying a Rodri replacement is not getting you Rodri's scores. And so it's difficult to find players who score as well as the best players. And yes, like Keith can afford to replace the injured players, but he doesn't want to have to replace a $1,500 player when he can replace a $12 player. Malky said the real test, if it's an experiment, is what to do if you get into the top division and don't have the funds to go to the next level. Bob said Alex Baina costs as much as his Bettis players. Could be. Sorry, catching up on that chat. Ricoman said, I know I'm looking at the right players when QTN is bidding on the card as well. Yeah, they're very, very good at this game. But I would be surprised, partially because of Keith's determination to make this work. I would be surprised if when he got to Division One, he bought players like Yamal. Like, I bet I would be more. I would more expect, depending on how quickly he gets there. But if he gets to Division One during this Villarreal run of fixtures, that he goes into Division One and places very well with a Villarreal either attacking or defensive stack. Like, defensively, they're okay, but I wouldn't be surprised. And I think it was game week 21 that when it was El Clasico, we were saying that Betis play against Atletico Madrid. That's the week Villarreal are away to Valladolid, which is like that's not that bad. And just things like that. Like, it's a combination of, like, he's not buying these guys just because nobody's buying them or just because they're cheap. Well, he is buying them because they're cheaper. But that doesn't mean that their opportunities in a specific game week are much worse than guys like Yamal or Vinny or whoever. Like, will the Real Madrid stack work out more often than it doesn't? Probably. But you're also taking tremendous risks by outlaying that much money that it almost puts like added pressure on you to try to return, because you spent a lot. And if you spend a lot, you have this expectation that you're going to win a lot, or that you need to. And so when you take this other route, and I'm not saying that like what he's doing is what everybody should be doing. Obviously, if you can win $1,000 by risking 100, that's better than risking 5,000. But and it's also not the easiest way to play. Like, what he did probably didn't take weeks of time, but it takes time. Look at fixtures, see who else is playing, and line it up in a way that will work out for you. And admittedly, I don't do that much, and I'm starting to do it more. I'm starting to look ahead. I kind of used to go in these phases where I would really try to schedule ahead, and there were times where there was an injury, something would happen, and it was like, oh, now that plan is gone. Like, there were times where I would open up the lineup builder for like the following weekend. Like, on a Tuesday, I would open it for the following weekend, and I would have lineups in there already. Actually, I did this. I talked about this probably with Keith. When at the beginning of the season, of the MLS season, I think Keith got an in-season Messi, and he was like, he and I individually like went through the lineup builder each weekend, and it was like, where's Messi? And if Messi was in a good spot, and usually he was, do we have a good enough lineup to take advantage of Messi? And I'm starting to do that more with all of my in-season lineups now. Challenger and contender, do I have good matchups coming up for me? And again, there's no guarantee that by the time I get to those game weeks, my guys are fit. Maybe the guy's not on set pieces anymore. Something happened. The different role, benched, who knows? But literally all he did was look at La Liga and say, is there a team that has good fixtures coming up? And Betis had a bunch of home games, and he's like, that's it. That's the key. Like, and obviously it helped that they were home games, like not against Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Barca. But other than that, you just play like, as long as they're home, you've got a chance. And that's the key to this strategy, that maybe he'll get there. I don't know. Mike Basson finally here, but yet 20 likes, 100 people right now on the dot, and only 20 likes is that's a bummer. Bruno said, hello, Francisco Mora, and I say nothing more. You're welcome to say more. Francisco Mora from Porto. Good looking guy. Mike said, why am I supposed to not be happy? Because your cards are not worth as much money as they used to be. and it's harder to win. It's not a cash cow anymore. Or something like that. I don't know. I'm having fun. I will say that, the collectible thing. Nobody reminded me. Oh, man. Nobody's liking the video. Nobody's reminding me stuff. So the collectible thing. I don't know what comment it was before that made me think of this. Hold on. I'm going to try to find this because come on. There are a couple comments I missed. Malky said, I know MLS pretty well, but at the end of the day, you just needed to buy Cucho Gald et al. You can see that from Sorare data. I know plenty of people who win without Cucho and without Gald. Major NFC, do you think they would ever consider rebalancing the leagues as ranks change, or is this just a hornet's nest for them? They claim that they could. I think they said they would do it in like the February window, like for the following year. I don't think anything's happened where they need to right now. I don't know. Like, I feel like people are like, oh, why is this here and not there? But like, I don't think you can make a strong argument for any changes that need to be made. Why? I forget how to say this. Eaglesy? Sorry. EGLC? Maybe. I'm on 170 days of German Duolingo. Wow. Maybe it was about Mike with his full Madrid stack. I don't think that's what it was. But the collecting thing. And I actually don't want to talk about the collection game because it really has nothing to do with that. Thanks, Quinny. So I was listening to Sorare Homies, and Harry and Keith were both talking about cards that they own that they could just never sell. And Quinny, who is actually perfect one to bring that up, because Quinny and Harry did a stream. When was that? Was that last week, Quinny? Maybe 2 weeks ago, talking about his New York City FC stacks or collection, excuse me. And like, I have this Ren collection, but ultimately it came down to Keith was saying the Teddy Tuma super rare that he bought long ago, which was a result of his scouting, is a card that he still owns, even though it's worth like nothing compared to what he paid. And Harry mentioned the Florentino Luis super rare that he has, that he got very early on. And I think he said he got in a trade for a Robert Lewandowski rare, which at the time was like the most expensive card he'd ever bought. But they were like cards that they were like, I'm bringing these cards to my grave. And it was kind of funny to me because we talk a lot about how these cards aren't collectibles at all, and that the only reason like we collect on Sorare is to get more bonus points in the game. But like they are basically like, yeah, I have these cards and I'm keeping them forever, and that's what I want. And like, that's literally collecting. And so just because not everybody collects cards and keeps them on the platform doesn't mean that collecting is not a thing. And I was like thinking of my own cards, like, are there cards that I would just always keep? And like, I don't necessarily think I need to keep like my Keaton Parks rare card, which is the first card I ever bought on the platform. Like, if I sold it, like, it'd be like whatever, but also like I had no reason to sell it. And so I'm going to keep that card. Or my original season Hans Van Aken, which I got a couple years ago, or just like cards like that where I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to keep that card. João Felix. I mean, I basically have to do that for the lulz now, but it was just kind of interesting because not everyone buys any kind of collectible just to be able to resell it later. And we do always kind of think about how much it's worth, and one day maybe I could buy a car with this collectible, which when like when we really think about it, we know that'll never happen. And it seems like that's happening a little more on Sorare, that people have cards and they were just like, no, I love this card. I'm going to keep it forever. And actually, there was a card. What card was it? I think it was Willie, who owns the Mathis Tell 1 of 100 rookie card, and said something like that. It's coming to the grave with me, and then listed it the other day. I noticed maybe it wasn't that card, but it's Footy. What he said, I'm not a collector in the slightest, to be honest. It's all about competing for rewards for me. So I'm not saying that like people are coming in just buying cards and like holding them forever. But I think we underestimate how many people own cards that they want to keep. And that in itself makes it a collectible. They have collected it and they want to keep it. And using it in the game and competing for rewards is a benefit of owning that card, but also they're going to keep it. Not that they don't care what it's worth, but like, why not? And so Vitor said a lot of those I'm never selling just comes from the price difference between now and then. But Vitor, do you think the thought that maybe it'll go back up one day? Like Keith probably paid, I don't know what he paid for his Teddy Tuma rare. Let's find out. Or super rare. Let's find out. He said he thought it was worth $50 now. Let's see. Teddy Tuma rare. He got it in a trade. We can all look at this. 344. Oh, he got 300. So Brandon Mekele, which I believe he got. I don't know if that's how you say his name either. But I believe he got for 2 ETH. He bought this card. Good Lord, Keith. So let's call Teddy Tuma 2 ETH, 1.8 ETH, and is now worth $173. Not even worth $173. That's the floor. But he's like, no, I'm going to keep it. Like, just because it's not worth nearly as much, that doesn't necessarily mean it's worth less. Like, why it's not worth selling now, but like, why not? What's the difference? Like, you like took a loss on. Well, I mean, Keith actually has won a tremendous amount with this card, I think. As the first one there is Trent Alexander-Arnold. All-Star Super Rare, Ramsdale, Super Rare, and a loss. I assume Ramsdale was starting then. Grimaldo, Luke de Jong, Muslera, my God. Merritt, Eloy Room. Eloy Room, and this was 0%. How was that? 29. Oh, wait, sorry. Game week 296. Isn't it great how easily you can just like find this stuff? Oh, Tuma had 100. We'll have to fix that. Anyway, like he could sell that card for $50 right now. It's not worth nothing. You can get a few Bettis cards for that. But instead, he's like, I'm just never selling. Deco said, given today's prices, there are definitely more cards now that I would rather just keep because of what they've done in my gallery over the years. Gia said, about gaining fun, ask your rivals' player friends what they enjoy more. Matched against identical lineup with one different card of matched against a full opposition stack, adding the option to choose OP type. Not sure I understand. Hold on. Ask your rivals' player what they enjoy. Matching against an identical lineup with one different card against a full opposition stack. Is that, I'm not sure if that's good or like what the problem is. That seems fine. Mike said, I swear Harry loves his Florentino Luis Super Rare more than his wife. The price doesn't cover the memories. What does that even mean? You have the memories regardless. ZM Star said, I think collecting is a byproduct of both market forces and you end up liking a player as he scores well for you. Right. Like you end up having a connection with this player and this card that you never would have had without this game, certainly. And it's okay to just not sell that card, like to hold that card. Like I could probably sell this Carlos Heel card, autograph card, for $5, but I like it, so I'm going to keep it. Streams from a Room, which is a name I'm not familiar with, but welcome and thank you for chatting. I have a ridiculous connection to an Ivan Banic Limited I bought a couple years ago when he got dropped and I had no money. Then he got back in the team and had a good run of scores. Now I can't sell him. Let's find out what an Ivan Banic is. I assume he's in like Croatia. Yeah, he is. Oh, nice little scores there. Not bad. And that 185 once, 208, yeah. That's not bad. Ooh, look at this run up. $28.24 instant buy this morning for an in-season card. And 6 days ago, it was $8.68. We're back. I'm just kidding. Krechek said, I think all my cards are going to my grave. They are far more valuable to me than what I could actually sell them for. Deco said it's the emotional attachment relative to the price. Easier to say, I love this card, I don't want to sell when it's worth $50 compared to $3K. I suppose that's fine. Grem said, in no world before Sorare would I imagine spending my Saturday mornings watching the Antlers. Skozer said, I have over 100 Aberdeen cards and will fight anyone who thinks they can take them. Yeah, just like there's kind of this general understanding of like there are no collectors on Sorare, and I think we all are actually collectors at this point. We just don't want to admit it because the prices are down. Mike said, this is similar to having an affiliation to a team just from one connection to them, such as watching a game. Pranksy's example of wanting to stack the Knicks in NBA because he watched one game live. It's exactly like that. You nailed it. Graham said the starting keeper for Gorica, is that who that was? Did his ACL last weekend, so Banic. I didn't even realize Banic was a goalie. That's funny. Has a chance of a game again. All right, let's go. It's my reminder that I need to do MLB lineups. Yeah, that's a fair point, Mike. That's a fair point. Yeah, so don't knock collecting. That's all. But I guess if my João Felix was worth 100 ETH, I would just sell it. I guess. We got anything else? I do have to get my lineups in. Rico Man said, I got a tier 3 from MLB comment. I had a terrible game week last game week, so I don't think I got a single reward. Last week of the regular season. This is the last game week of the regular season. Let's see. I won a box. Oh, wait. I won a tier 2 rare. I finished 8th in Rare National League. What do you know? They just haven't, no rewards yet? Why haven't rewards been distributed yet? I need them for my late rewards for MLB today. Quinny said, I thought Key Super Rare would have come to the grave with me. Still have mine. I should have gotten rid of mine. Bob said Braves and Mets being postponed did my teams. It's funny you say that, Bob, as I was just looking. I was trying to see if I had won anything, and here this tier 2, and I had Alonso, 1 point. I was 8th. Oh. Late rewards when there's an early deadline is really not helpful. For those of you who don't play MLB, we get rewards before the next game week starts, so you can use them right away, which used to happen in football, actually. Then it stopped. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't have anything else to say, really. I feel like I referenced every single show this week except Monday. What the hell was Monday? Sean and I. Oh, was that the AMA? I actually thought that was a pretty good show, too. I'm not going to lie. Some good questions that came up during that show. Yes, SGT. Yeah, the Braves Mets doubleheader on Monday. As it should count. Stack those Braves and Mets. Extra game, right? Or no, I don't even know. Either way, they're playing. Recom said rewards are out now. Let's open them. What else do we have to do? So for those of you who also don't play MLB, coins still exist there. How about this? What do we got? 1,325 coins. Why not? Let me just get this box here. I'm on team don't open your boxes for MLB now. As you see now, that I now have 10 reward boxes that I'm just waiting for the oh, that coin thing's still gone. Anyway, let's open this thing. See what's second card reveal I've had this week. Torque. How is that a tier 2? This guy stinks. I'll show you why that's a bummer of a reward for me. I already have one. Oh, well. Anyway, congrats to everybody who won MLB rewards. And I guess we have football rewards in 53 minutes. If you got anything in the midweek, I think I got a few boxes. Wouldn't mind some Essence. I'm actually holding on to my Essence. I've decided. There hasn't been an Essence conversation. Sorare Juju, who I still have to get back to, sent me a long thing about Essence and just kind of strategies around it. And this is the Essence I have right now. So I've got 88 limited Essence and 120 rare Essence and 15 super rare Essence. I might pull the super rare one, although I just have such horrible luck on super rares normally. But it's going to take me forever to get to even 250. And so the rare one, I don't think I'm going to go to 250. I'm going to see what happens today, and I may just end up crafting a few cards today. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I'm feeling saucy. Yeah. Anyway, thank you to everybody for coming. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. And yeah, good luck with all of your lineups this weekend. And yeah, good luck. I was going to say something else and I just totally lost my mind. But anyway, good luck this weekend. Get your steps in.